You guys, I am not okay. My hands are literally shaking as I'm recording this because what did we just witness? I'm sitting here, it's been exactly 8 hours. 8 hours. BTS dropped the Hooligan music video, and right now, 4.4 million views in 8 hours on a video that most casual fans didn't even know was coming. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, BTS is big. That's expected. But that's exactly what I thought too, until I started connecting the dots. Because this isn't just about a music video going viral. This is about a very specific, very calculated, very suspicious sequence of events that all happened at the same time. And I don't think it's a coincidence. It's Era 2.0. It's high budget, it's intense. But then, at the exact same time, this video of Jung Kook starts going viral. And no, I'm not talking about him being cute. I'm talking about him revealing those knife skills from the military while baking 200 cookies for the staff. This is insane. I'm actually losing it. Grab your snacks because we are going down a rabbit hole that is going to change the way you look at the 2.0 era forever. Let's go back to the beginning. Not the very beginning. I mean, 48 hours ago beginning, BTS officially announces their 2.0 era. Now, on the surface, this sounds like a normal comeback. New music, new visuals, new era, standard stuff. But here's where it already starts feeling a little off. The framing of this era, they're not just calling it a new chapter, they're calling it a version upgrade. Like they're software, like they're a product being relaunched for a new market. And I thought, okay, that's a bold choice of words. Let's keep moving. Then Hooligan drops. And you guys, I cannot explain to you how unhinged the reaction has been. 4.4 million views in 8 hours. That's not a comeback number. That's a cultural event number. That's the kind of engagement you get when something resonates on a level that goes beyond music. But here's the thing I couldn't stop thinking about. Why that word? Hooligan? Of all the things BTS could call a song, why Hooligan? I'm asking. I genuinely don't know yet, but stay with me. Because this is where it starts to get a little weird. At the exact same time the Hooligan MV is breaking records, and I mean literally the same window, a completely separate video starts trending. A clip of Jung Kook. And not Jung Kook performing, or Jung Kook in a music video, Jung Kook in the military, talking about knife skills. I'm sorry. What? Okay, so let me break this down because the second I saw this clip, I lost my mind a little. Jung Kook is on camera, looking absolutely fine, by the way. That's not the point, but it needed to be said. And he's casually, almost nonchalantly, talking about how he learned to use a knife during his mandatory military service. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally, actual knife skills. And then it comes out that he baked 200 cookies for the staff. 200 cookies for the staff. Tell me why this detail broke the internet harder than some people expected a music video to. Tell me why the comment sections across platforms are absolutely unhinged right now over a man and his cookies. Is this a coincidence that this story dropped at the same moment as one of the biggest music video launches in recent memory? Maybe. Sure. Totally possible. And I'm just asking, is this the most perfectly timed dual narrative rollout you've ever seen in your life? Because here's what I'm noticing. You have one story that's intense, dark title, dramatic visuals, record numbers, and simultaneously you have this other story that's warm, domestic, almost soft. A man who learned skills, a man who baked cookies, two completely opposite images, dropping at the same time. Am I the only one seeing this? But wait, because I kept pulling at this thread, and it gets weirder. Here's the thing about the 2.0 era framing. When brands and artists use version language, upgrade language, it signals something very specific. It signals that they know exactly who they were, and they've made a deliberate decision about who they're becoming. This isn't BTS figuring it out on the fly. This is BTS with a plan. And allegedly, according to people who track these things extremely closely, the engagement metrics on Hooligan in the first 8 hours aren't just good for a K-pop comeback. They're record-breaking in a way that suggests preceding, as in The fandom was primed. The conversation was already being built before most people even knew it was coming. Now, I'm not saying that's sinister. That's actually just incredibly smart marketing, but here's where the pattern starts revealing itself. Think about the last few times BTS made massive cultural waves. It was never just one thing dropping. It was always a layered moment. A song drops, but also there's a personal story. A comeback happens, but also there's a human moment that spreads independently. The music does one thing, the human story does another, and together they create this web of attention that pulls in people who aren't even BTS fans. The Hooligan MV, that's for the armies. The cookies, that's for everyone else. And I think that is deliberate. I think that is the infrastructure of the 2.0 era, and I think we're watching it activate in real time. This is where things change. Okay, so now I need to talk about what record-breaking engagement actually means in this context, because I don't want that to just be a number we throw around. 4.4 million views in 8 hours means that an average of roughly 550,000 people were watching that video every hour since it dropped. That's a mid-sized city watching the same thing simultaneously for 8 hours straight. But here's what's more interesting than the number. It's the type of engagement. Reportedly, and I've been watching this across platforms, it's not just passive views, it's comments, it's shares, it's people writing paragraphs, people who haven't posted about anything in months suddenly appearing in the comments of BTS content. That's the 2.0 era working. That's not just fans showing up, that's lapsed fans showing up, curious people showing up, people who saw a cookie video showing up. And now I want to talk about the word hooligan again, because I've been sitting with it this whole time, and here's what I think is happening. A hooligan is someone who breaks the rules, someone chaotic, someone unpredictable, and for a group that has historically been associated with precision, perfect formations, synchronized choreography, meticulously crafted images, choosing that word is a statement. It's them saying, the old version of us had rules we followed. This version doesn't. Or at least, that's what they want you to think. That's the story being told. But is it real? Or is this the most controlled display of chaos you've ever seen? Because allegedly, everything about this rollout suggests the latter. And it gets worse. Or better, depending on how you look at it. Here's the part that I genuinely cannot stop thinking about. The military chapter, specifically Jung Kook's military chapter. Because here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. BTS members went into mandatory military service during a period where a lot of people were genuinely worried. Not just fans, industry people. The momentum of a group pausing at their absolute peak is a risk that most acts don't survive. And yet, they're back, and the engagement numbers suggest they didn't just survive the pause, they amplified because of it. The absence created something. The stories from service, the knife skills, the cookies, the small human details. They built a mythology during the silence. So now when the music drops, you're not just getting the music. You're getting the payoff to 18 months of quiet accumulation. You're getting the reunion you didn't realize you'd been waiting for. That's not an accident. That is architecture. But here's where I have to be honest with you for a second. Because the more I dig into this, the more I start to feel a certain kind of way about how easily we get swept up in it. Like the cookie story, genuinely wholesome. I have no reason to be suspicious of a man who baked cookies for his colleagues. That is a kind and lovely thing. The music video, genuinely, from what I've seen, a visually striking piece of work with undeniable craft behind it. But the combination of these things, the timing, the way one emotional narrative supports the other, that's where I start to ask questions. Not because I think something harmful is happening, but because we are watching a masterclass in the manufacturing of cultural moments. And I think it's worth naming that. Because if the 2.0 era is about a new version, a supposedly rawer, less polished, more rebellious version, then what does it mean that the rollout of that rawness is this precisely orchestrated? Is a hooligan who plans everything still a hooligan? I'm asking. I genuinely don't know. And this is the thing I keep coming back to. We're 8 hours into this era. 8 hours, and already we're talking about record engagement, dual viral narratives, military mythology, and philosophical questions about authenticity in pop music. What happens at 8 days? What happens at 8 weeks? Because here's what I think the 2.0 era actually is. It's not just a comeback, it's a stress test. It's BTS asking, how big can we get after a pause? How do you rebuild momentum after military service? How do you stay relevant when the world has moved on and 1,000 other acts have tried to fill the space you left? And the early answer, if 4.4 million views in 8 hours means anything, is that you don't fill the space. You come back and the space was just yours the whole time. But I have questions. Specifically, I want to know more about what happened during that military period. Because I don't think the cookie story is the whole story. I think Jungkook's military chapter is being used deliberately, drip-fed, as the emotional foundation for the 2.0 narrative. And I want to know what else is in there. Allegedly, there are more stories coming out, more details from members about their service, more moments being recontextualized now that they're back. And I am going to be watching all of it very closely, because this is either the most organic comeback in recent music history, or it is the most sophisticated campaign we have ever seen disguised as one. And honestly, I'm not sure which one would impress me more. If you've made it this far, you already know something is happening. You felt it too. That's why you're still here. Drop what you think in the comments, because I want to know. Is this the 2.0 era speaking to you, or is it speaking at you? I'll see you in the next one.